When you're having a discussion with people, or listening to people, or considering something, or contemplating things, or reviewing your impressions of things, you're not supposed to start by attacking it. You're supposed to start by seeing what foundations are actually there. You always pick pro first. It only takes about 2.5 seconds in any topic to determine whether or not you have cause or reason to be pro for something. And then afterwards, you open up the con file and you review what you have available. At which point, you can start speaking. Now, if you start with pro, you can be speaking, and as you get through it, your brain will process the profile and close down, and then you start the con file, and before you're done talking a couple words, you already know you're wrong. But if you start with the con file, you get right to the end of the folder because you are aware of how much you know versus trying to evaluate all the unconnected dots that you have in your mind. You get exhausted, and then you just dismiss the fact that you haven't opened up your pro folder. And bigots do that all the time, and they just sit there and they put all the accountability on you, and they just sit there and they act like they're too stupid to fucking figure anything out, and they argue con for things that they're naive about. Now, this video is inspired by a comment that was put on my page. I'm sorry for making specific reference to that. And it's not about saying that this is what you do, because I don't know you, I don't know your situation, I don't know what your clause was, but it comes around to discussing prophets. When you're discussing a prophet, you don't criticize them. You argue on their behalf, because if they're not a prophet, who cares, right? If you are so inclined to criticize them because they're not a prophet, well, argue on their behalf. And if you're incapable of arguing on their behalf, then you at least have credible clause to suggest that they're not a prophet. You don't immediately start attacking them and go, no, everyone else is accountable, they have to prove he's a prophet to me. No, the prophet has already proved himself a prophet in the event he's a prophet. Argue on his behalf and see what credit and what criteria you have to that clause. It's like when you open up the Bible to the very first page, and you're reading the book, but you're not acknowledging that God's real. You're not fucking reading the book then, and you read the second line, but you still yet have to acknowledge that at least within the context of the scripture, which is perceived as relevant to modern society in every single day and every single second of society in the future and in the past, if you're not bringing God into the context of your contemplation in your scenario, you're not reading the fucking scripture. You're not reading anything. You have no grounds to criticize it because you're not even thinking. Now, what I had said has absolutely nothing to do with the comment. But the point was, okay, if you had a dog in Arabia, what are you going to do? Are you going to raise chickens to feed to the dog? How the fuck would that make sense? The dog is just a useless living weapon. The thing's fucking stupid and brain dead. Like, they went and they killed all of the rapists and all the tyrants and all the perverts and all the bigots, and there was no food growing in Arabia. They had slaves grow everything, and they all bred like rats, so there was more mouths to feed than there was workers to begin with. The majority of the workers didn't fucking do anything because they were slavers and tyrants and bigots and assholes, and they're feeding dogs because dogs are living weapons. No, you can't have a dog if you're Arabic. So the point of the video and the clause is you always start by being pro for a topic, not con for a topic. You don't have to argue on its behalf. It's the manner in which you contemplate things. Because then you actually know what criteria you have, you know what grounds there is to stand on, you actually know what you're arguing with. Otherwise, it's just arrogant bigotry because you're incoherently waiting for the other person to give you the response. And you might as well just be a faggot. Now, that sounds really rude, but I'm not actually trying to attack you. It's just the premise of how you use your mind to acknowledge things before you feel inclined to completely dismiss and disregard your own responsibility and accountability for contemplating the scenario as it is. Because, generally speaking, when people pick no first, they get exhausted because they get to the end of the route and they know exactly what they don't have, and they go, I don't want to figure out what I have. Because when they go through the no category, they know exactly in every single way it's going to conflict with them if they had said yes. Okay, right on, peace. Have a good day.